The gunshot echoed across the vast Montana territory as Sheriff Samuel Caldwell pressed his boot into the dusty earth, watching the outlaw's body crumple before him. It was 1878, and law in Timberline was whatever Sam Caldwell decided it should be. He holstered his Colt revolver and turned away from the man who'd made the mistake of drawing on him. The setting sun cast long shadows across the town's single dirt road as he made his way back to his horse. "Good work, Sheriff," the bank manager called from the safety of his doorway, the danger now past. Sam merely nodded, his lean face expressionless beneath the brim of his worn Stetson. At 32, he'd seen enough violence to last several lifetimes. The war between the states had taken his youth, and the decade that followed had hardened whatever remained of his softer edges. He mounted his dappled gray stallion and turned toward the outskirts of town, toward home, though the small cabin he'd built 3 years ago still felt more like shelter than a true home. Something was missing, but Sam rarely allowed himself to dwell on what that might be. The trail wound through pine-covered hills, and as the last light faded from the sky, Sam noticed something unusual, a small campfire flickering in a clearing not far from the path. Travelers weren't uncommon, but anyone camping this close to town raised suspicion. His hand instinctively moved to his holster as he guided his horse closer. The first thing he noticed was a battered wagon with a broken wheel. Then he saw a small figure huddled by the fire, a child, no more than 5 or 6 years old, with tangled blonde hair. Behind the wagon, a woman lay on a bedroll, her face obscured in shadow. The child looked up at Sam's approach, eyes wide with fear. "It's all right," Sam said softly, dismounting. "I'm the sheriff from town. Are you folks in trouble?" The little girl, for it was a girl, he could see now, glanced nervously at the woman on the ground before looking back at Sam. She seemed to be weighing whether to speak at all. "My name's Samuel," he said, kneeling to meet her eye level, keeping his distance so as not to frighten her further. "What's yours?" "Emma," she whispered, so quietly he almost didn't hear. "Where are you headed, Emma?" She clutched a tattered rag doll to her chest. "Don't know. Somewhere new." Sam looked toward the woman again. "Is that your ma?" Emma nodded, then motioned for Sam to come closer. When he leaned in, she whispered for words that changed everything. "Mama hurts." Something in Sam's chest tightened. He'd seen enough injured people to know the difference between scrapes from a broken wagon wheel and the kind of hurts that came from human hands. "Can I see her?" he asked gently. Emma nodded again, leading him to where her mother lay. The woman stirred as they approached, struggling to sit up. In the firelight, Sam could see the bruises on her face, the split lip, the way she cradled her left arm protectively against her body. "Madam," Sam said, keeping his voice steady. "I'm Sheriff Caldwell from Timberline. Looks like you could use some help." "We're fine," she said quickly, her voice hoarse. "Just a broken wheel. We'll be on our way tomorrow." "Mama," Emma protested. "You said you couldn't move your arm." The woman, who couldn't have been more than 25, looked away, embarrassment coloring her cheeks beneath the bruises. "It's nothing." Sam took in the scene. The broken wagon, the meager supplies, the woman's injuries, and the fearful child. He made a decision. "Madam, I don't mean to pry, but it looks like you're running from something or someone. My cabin's about a mile from here. It's not much, but it's dry and warm. We don't need charity," the woman said firmly, though Sam could see the pain in her eyes as she shifted position. Sam looked at the child, then back at her mother. "Then both of you ride with me tonight. Not charity, just one traveler helping another. Tomorrow, we can see about fixing that wheel." The woman hesitated, studying his face for any sign of deception. Emma tugged at her mother's skirt. "Please, Mama. I'm cold." After a long moment, the woman nodded. "Just for tonight." Sam helped her to her feet, noting how she winced with each movement. "What's your name, madam?" "Bethany," she replied softly. "Bethany Vaughn." Sam gathered what few belongings they had while Bethany extinguished the fire. He lifted Emma onto his horse first, then carefully helped Bethany up behind her. He took the reins and led the horse on foot toward his cabin, wondering what kind of man could have done this to a woman and child, and whether that man might be following their trail. The cabin came into view as they crested a small rise. It was simple but sturdy, with a small corral for his horse and a shed for firewood and tools. Inside was sparse but clean, a main room with a stone fireplace, a table with 2 chairs, a small kitchen area, and a doorway leading to his bedroom. "You and Emma can take the bedroom," Sam said as he helped them inside. "I'll sleep out here by the fire." "We couldn't," Bethany began. "I insist," he interrupted gently. "Let me heat some water for you both." While Sam prepared a simple meal of beans and cornbread, Bethany tended to Emma, washing her face and hands and changing her into a cleaner dress from their meager belongings. When they emerged, Sam noticed how Bethany still favored her left arm. "That needs looking at," he said, nodding toward her injury. Bethany shook her head. "It'll be fine." "Mama, it's the same color as the sky before it storms," Emma said solemnly, pointing at the dark bruising visible beneath Bethany's sleeve. Sam set the food on the table. "After we eat, I'd like to check it. Could be broken." They ate in silence, Emma's eyes growing heavy as she finished her meal. Sam noticed how Bethany carefully cut her food with one hand, barely touching her left arm to the table. After Emma was settled in the bedroom, Bethany reluctantly allowed Sam to examine her arm. "Who did this?" he asked quietly as he gently felt along the swollen area. Bethany stared into the fire. "My husband. Emma's father." Sam's jaw tightened. "Where is he now?" "Dead, I hope," she said with unexpected venom, then immediately looked ashamed. "I'm sorry, that's not Christian of me. Some men test the limits of Christian forgiveness, Mrs. Vaughn." "It's Miss," she corrected him. "We were never properly married, though he called me wife. James Blackett. We met in Denver 3 years ago. He was charming at first." Sam nodded, understanding the familiar story. "Your arm's not broken, but it's a bad sprain. I need to wrap it." He retrieved clean bandages from a cabinet. "We ran because he threatened Emma," Bethany continued as Sam carefully bound her arm. "I could take his rage directed at me, but not at her. Never at her." "You did the right thing," Sam assured her. "How long have you been traveling?" 2 weeks. We had more supplies, but the wagon broke yesterday. I didn't realize how close we were to a town." Sam secured the bandage. "Timberline's small, but we have a doctor, a general store. People mind their own business, for the most part." Bethany studied his face. "Why are you helping us, Sheriff Caldwell?" Sam considered the question. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said finally, "and because everyone deserves a second chance." The next morning, Sam rode into town early, returning with Dr. Wilson to properly examine Bethany's arm. The elderly physician confirmed Sam's assessment a severe sprain, not a break, and provided a proper sling and some willow bark for the pain. "Rest is what you need most, Miss Vaughn," the doctor said kindly, "and perhaps a few good meals. You're too thin by half." After the doctor left, Sam hitched up his wagon. "I'm going to fetch your wagon and belongings. You two stay here and rest." "Sheriff Caldwell," Bethany began. "Sam," he corrected her. "Just Sam is fine." "Sam," she said, the name sounding almost foreign on her lips. "We've imposed enough. Once our wagon is fixed, where will you go?" he asked. Bethany's silence was answer enough. "Stay until your arm heals," Sam suggested. "Emma seems comfortable here, and winter's coming soon. Travel will be difficult." Emma, who had been quietly playing with her doll near the fireplace, looked up hopefully. "Can we, Mama? I like it here. And Mr. Sam has a horse." Bethany's resistance crumbled at her daughter's plea. "Just until my arm heals," she agreed. Days turned into weeks as October brought colder weather to the Montana Territory. Sam repaired their wagon but didn't mention it, and Bethany didn't ask about leaving. Instead, they fell into an unexpectedly comfortable routine. Sam would ride into town for his sheriff duties, returning in the evenings to find Bethany cooking one-handed or teaching Emma her letters. "You're good with her," Sam observed one evening as Bethany tucked Emma into bed in what had become their room. "She's all I have," Bethany replied simply. "How did you learn to read so well?" Sam asked, noticing the careful way she helped Emma form letters. "My father was a schoolteacher in Pennsylvania," she explained, "before he died of consumption when I was 12. My mother remarried quickly a man who had little use for books or education, especially for girls." "So you left home young," Sam guessed. Bethany nodded. 16. Worked as a seamstress, then a waitress. Met James when I was 22. He seemed so different from my stepfather." Her voice grew bitter. "Turned out they were cut from the same cloth." Sam's hands clenched involuntarily. Some men don't deserve the title. What about you? Bethany asked, changing the subject. How does a man like you end up alone in a cabin in the wilderness? Sam stared into the fire. War changes a man. I came west afterward, like a lot of others. Drifted for years. Became sheriff here 3 years ago when the previous one was shot over a card game. And no wife? No family. Had a sweetheart before the war. She married someone else while I was fighting. Can't blame her. 3 years is a long time to wait, especially when letters were scarce. He shrugged. Afterward, never found the right person. Or maybe never looked hard enough. As November arrived with its first snowfall, Sam noticed how Bethany no longer flinched when he entered a room unexpectedly. How the shadows under her eyes had faded. How Emma's laughter came more frequently and without restraint. And he noticed something else: how his cabin no longer felt empty when he returned each evening. How he found himself riding home faster, anticipating the glow of lamplight in the windows, the smell of cooking, the sound of voices. One evening, as snow fell heavily outside, Sam returned to find Emma waiting eagerly by the door. "Mr. Sam, Mama let me help make stew," she announced proudly. "Is that so?" Sam smiled, hanging his hat and coat. "Then it must be the best stew in the territory." Bethany stood by the stove, her arm no longer in a sling, though she still moved it carefully. Her hair was pinned up, revealing the graceful curve of her neck, and her cheeks were flushed from the heat of cooking. "You're late," she observed, though there was no accusation in her tone. "Trouble at the saloon," Sam explained, washing up at the basin. "Nothing serious, just a couple of cowboys with more whiskey than sense." They ate together, Emma chattering about the rabbit she'd seen near the woodpile that morning. After dinner, Sam pulled a small package from his pocket. "Got something in town today," he said, pushing it across the table to Emma. "Thought you might like it." Emma's eyes widened as she unwrapped a small wooden horse, painted dapple gray like Sam's own mount. "It looks just like thunder," she exclaimed, throwing her arms around Sam's neck. Bethany watched the exchange with an unreadable expression. Later, after Emma was asleep, she confronted Sam by the fire. "You shouldn't have bought her a gift," she said quietly. Sam looked up from cleaning his revolver. "It was just a toy. She's growing attached to you," Bethany explained. "To this place. It will only make it harder when we leave." The words hung between them. "And when will that be?" Sam asked, setting his gun aside. Bethany looked away. "My arm is almost healed. Is that the only reason you've stayed?" "What other reason would there be?" she challenged, though her voice lacked conviction. Sam stood, moving closer to where she sat. "Maybe the same reason I find myself riding home faster each day. The same reason this cabin finally feels like a home instead of just a place to sleep." Bethany's hands trembled slightly as she smoothed her skirt. "Sam, I can't. I made a mistake with James, trusted the wrong man. I won't risk Emma's safety again. Do you think I would ever hurt either of you?" Sam asked softly. "No," she admitted. "But I thought that about James too, at first." Sam knelt before her, taking her hands in his. "I understand your fear, but I'm asking you to stay, Bethany. Not out of charity or obligation, but because these past weeks have shown me what I've been missing all these years." Tears glistened in her eyes. "I can't bear to be wrong again." "Then take time," he said. "Stay through the winter. Get to know me better. Let me prove myself worthy of your trust." A log shifted in the fireplace, sending sparks up the chimney. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in silence. "Through winter," Bethany agreed finally. "But no promises beyond that." December brought Christmas preparations. Sam cut a small pine tree from the forest edge, and Emma decorated it with paper chains Bethany taught her to make. Sam rode to town and returned with small gifts: candy sticks for Emma, a warm woolen shawl for Bethany, and ingredients for a proper Christmas dinner. On Christmas Eve, as Emma slept dreaming of the next day's excitement, Sam and Bethany sat by the fire, a rare moment of privacy in their shared life. "I have something for you," Sam said, producing a small package wrapped in brown paper. "Not meant for Christmas. Something I should have given you weeks ago." Bethany unwrapped it curiously to find a key. "What's this for?" "The front door," Sam explained. "This is your home too, for as long as you want it to be. You should have your own key." The simple gesture brought tears to Bethany's eyes. "No man has ever. I've never had a key to anything before." Sam reached out, hesitantly brushing a tear from her cheek. Bethany, I want you to know that whatever you decide come spring, you'll always have a place here. You and Emma both. Why? She whispered. Why would you do this for us? Because in these few months, you've brought more life into this cabin than I've known in years. His hand lingered on her face. Because I think I'm falling in love with you. The confession hung in the air between them. Slowly, cautiously, Bethany leaned forward until her lips met his in a kiss so gentle it might have been a whisper. When they parted, she pressed the key to her heart. I'm scared, Sam. Not of you of hoping for too much. Hope is all any of us have, he replied. That, and the courage to try again. Christmas morning dawned bright and clear, the snow glistening in the sunshine. Emma's delight at her gifts, the candy, a new doll, and a book of fairy tales filled the cabin with laughter. Bethany received not only the shawl, but a silver hairpin Sam had ordered from a catalog. For Sam, Bethany had secretly mended his old quilt and embroidered his initials in the corner. As winter deepened, their routine grew more intimate. Sam taught Emma to ride Thunder, leading the horse carefully around the corral while the child squealed with excitement. Bethany began using the sewing skills from her days as a seamstress to mend clothing for townspeople, earning a small income of her own that she insisted on contributing to the household. And in the evenings, after Emma was asleep, Sam and Bethany would talk for hours by the fire, sharing stories of their pasts, dreams for the future, and increasingly, tender moments that spoke of growing affection. February brought the harshest cold, confining them mostly to the cabin. During one particularly severe blizzard, Sam noticed Bethany staring anxiously out the window. What troubles you? He asked, joining her. Just thinking, she replied. This is the longest I've stayed in one place since leaving home. It feels strange to not be running. Sam placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to run anymore. I know, she said, leaning into his touch. That's what scares me most. The next day, as Sam chopped wood behind the cabin, the sound of an approaching horse drew his attention. A stranger on a bay gelding rode into the yard, stopping at the sight of Sam. Looking for someone? Sam asked, resting his axe against the chopping block but keeping it within reach. The man, rough-looking with a week's growth of beard, dismounted. Heard there was a woman and child staying here. Woman named Bethany with a little girl. Sam's body tensed. Who's asking? Name's Garrett. Friend of James Blackett. The man spat tobacco juice onto the snow. Been tracking them for months. James is mighty upset his family ran off. James is alive? Sam asked, his voice deliberately casual as his mind raced. Course he's alive. Took a nasty fall when his horse spooked, but he's recovered now. Sent me to bring them back. Garrett looked toward the cabin. So they here or not? Before Sam could answer, the cabin door opened and Bethany appeared, freezing at the sight of the stranger. Emma peeked around her skirts. Well, there they are, Garrett grinned, revealing tobacco-stained teeth. Bethany, darling, James is awful worried about you. Bethany's face drained of color. James is dead. I saw him fall from that cliff. Saw what you wanted to see, I reckon, Garrett replied. He's waiting in Billings. Sent me to collect you and the girl. Sam stepped between Garrett and the cabin. The lady doesn't seem interested in going with you. Garrett's hand moved toward the gun at his hip. This ain't your business, mister. I'm the sheriff of Timberline County, Sam replied calmly, and anything that happens on my property is very much my business. These ladies are under my protection. James has a legal right to his wife and child, Garrett insisted. She's not his wife, Sam countered. And as for Emma, he glanced at Bethany, who was shaking with fear. I suggest you ride back to Billings and tell James that if he wants to press his claim, he can come do it himself. But I warn you he won't find a welcome reception here. Garrett's eyes narrowed. James won't take kindly to this. That's his problem. Sam's hand moved casually toward his own weapon. Now, I think you should leave. For a tense moment, Sam thought Garrett might draw. Instead, the man spat again and remounted his horse. This ain't over, he warned before turning his horse and riding away. Sam rushed to Bethany, who had collapsed against the doorframe. Emma clung to her, frightened by the exchange. He's alive, Bethany whispered, her face ashen. All this time, he's been alive. And now he knows where we are. Sam guided them inside, bolting the door behind them. He knows you're in my protection, and that matters in these parts. I'm the law here. You don't know James, Bethany said, trembling. He won't stop. He'll come himself, and he'll bring others. Sam took her hands, forcing her to look at him. Then we'll be ready. I won't let him take you or Emma. Do you understand? I will protect you both with my life. That night, after reassuring Emma and tucking her into bed, Bethany found Sam cleaning his rifle by the fire. We should leave, she said. Tonight, before James arrives. Sam set the rifle aside. Running won't solve this, Bethany. He found you once. He'll find you again. This ends here, one way or another. I can't let you risk your life for us, she protested. Sam stood, crossing to her and taking her face in his hands. I love you, Bethany. You and Emma have become my family. I will not lose you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I love you too. That's why I can't bear the thought of you getting hurt because of me. Trust me, he whispered, pulling her close. Trust that together, we're stronger than whatever comes. For 3 days, they waited, Sam setting up defensive positions around the cabin. He sent word to his deputy in town to be on alert for strangers asking about him or Bethany. On the 4th day, as dusk approached, Sam spotted them 3 riders approaching from the east. He recognized Garrett among them, and from Bethany's sharp intake of breath as she peered through the window, he knew James Blackett was leading them. Emma, sweetheart, Bethany said with forced calm. I need you to go into the root cellar now. Remember where Sam showed you. Stay there until one of us comes for you. The child, sensing the tension, nodded solemnly. Is the bad man here, Mama? Yes, darling. But Sam will protect us. Now go quickly and quietly. Once Emma was safely hidden, Sam positioned Bethany at the back window with his revolver while he took the front with his rifle. Only shoot if they break in, he instructed. And aim for the body, not the head. The riders stopped just beyond the front porch. James Blackett, a tall man with a cruel mouth and cold eyes, dismounted first. Bethany, he called. Come out now and bring Emma. I'm taking you home. Sam opened the door just enough to be seen, his rifle clearly visible. Mr. Blackett, I presume. This is private property, and you're not welcome here. Blackett's face contorted with rage. That's my woman and my child in there. You've no right to keep them. Miss Vaughn isn't your property, Sam replied evenly. Neither is Emma. They're staying here of their own free will. Bethany, Blackett shouted again. Don't make me come in there and drag you out. To Sam's surprise, Bethany appeared beside him, though she kept safely behind the half-open door. I'm not going anywhere with you, James. I saw what you did to that traveler in Denver. I know you're wanted for murder. Blackett's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. You can't prove anything. Maybe not, Sam interjected. But I've sent telegrams to Denver and other territorial authorities. They're quite interested in speaking with you, Mr. Blackett. Garrett and the 3rd man exchanged uneasy glances. James, you didn't say nothing about no murder charges, Garrett muttered. She's lying, Blackett hissed. She's always been a liar. I kept his watch, James, Bethany called out, her voice steadier now. The one you took after you killed him. The one with the inscription from his wife. I hid it in Emma's doll before we ran. Sam saw the change in Blackett's eyes the moment when desperation overcame calculation. Blackett's hand moved toward his gun. Don't, Sam warned, raising his rifle. It doesn't need to end this way. But Blackett was beyond reasoning. He drew, and Sam fired. The shot echoed across the clearing as Blackett stumbled backward, clutching his shoulder. His own shot went wide, splintering the doorframe. Garrett immediately raised his hands. We want no part of this. James didn't tell us he was running from murder charges. The 3rd man was already turning his horse. Garrett quickly followed suit, leaving Blackett bleeding in the snow. Sam approached cautiously, rifle trained on the wounded man. It's over, Blackett. You're under arrest for attempted murder of a peace officer, and I'll be sending word to Denver about those other charges. 2 weeks later, Sam returned from escorting Blackett to the territorial prison. He found Bethany and Emma waiting on the porch despite the March chill, both rushing to greet him as he dismounted. Is it really over? Bethany asked as he embraced them both. It's over, Sam confirmed. He'll stand trial in Denver once his shoulder heals. The prosecutor there believes they have enough evidence for a conviction, with or without the watch. That night, after Emma was asleep, Sam took Bethany's hand by the fire. I've been thinking about something Emma said while you were gone, Bethany said softly. Oh, Sam raised an eyebrow. She asked if you were going to be her papa now. I didn't know how to answer. Sam's heart quickened. And how would you like to answer her? Bethany met his gaze steadily. I'd like to tell her yes, if that's what you want to. Sam pulled a small box from his pocket. I've carried this for 200 miles, waiting for the right moment. He opened it to reveal a simple gold band. Bethany Vaughn, will you marry me? Will you and Emma make this cabin a true home for all of us? Tears shone in Bethany's eyes as she nodded. Yes, yes to everything. They were married in April, when the wildflowers began to bloom across the Montana hills. The entire town of Timberline attended, curious about the woman who had finally captured their sheriff's heart. Emma stood proudly beside them, holding the rings on a small pillow, beaming as the preacher pronounced them husband and wife. As Sam kissed his bride, he remembered that cold October night when a small voice had whispered, "Mama hurts," setting in motion the events that would change all their lives forever. That evening, as they stood on the porch of their cabin, their home, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold and purple, Sam put his arm around his new family. I never thought I'd find this, he admitted. After the war, I figured some men weren't meant for happiness. Bethany leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. And I never thought I'd feel safe again, or worthy of love. Emma tugged at Sam's hand. Can I call you Papa now? For real. Sam knelt down, his heart so full it threatened to burst. I would be honored, Emma. For real and forever. As darkness settled over the Montana wilderness, the cabin glowed with lamplight and laughter, a beacon of hope and second chances in the vast frontier. Inside, a former runaway, a lonely lawman, and the child who had brought them together began their life as a family, proving that even in the wild terrain of the West, love could take root and flourish against all odds.